I feel like I haven't turned them on in a while. Let's talk some movie news. Some of the movie news we're going to be diving into here today, my friends, is we've got an update on the Halloween reboot situation, discussing now that the writer's strike is over, the things that the writers in Hollywood have won, and what projects can now begin moving forward, along with James Gunn just dropping a whole bunch of DC updates on us that either clarify things or just confuse us more. Really, that along with so much more, so you guys already know the drills. Leave me your opinions down below. Hit that like button. Subscribe if you haven't already. Get that subscribe number up, man. I'm so close to 600,000. And just really quickly, thank you to you guys who've been supporting the past couple of videos, especially the Saw reviews. Editing-wise, those have been a pain in the butt to get through because of all the censoring I have to do, but I'm glad you guys are enjoying it. But now with that said, let's go ahead and dive into our first movie news story. So as you guys might have been seeing, the writer's strike is over. The writer's strike was finally able to come to a close with the WGA coming to an agreement with the big studios. Now, this does not mean the Hollywood strike is 100% over because the actors are still on strike and they have yet to get their deal. They're set to be meeting with the studios on Friday, and I'm sure they want to end this as fast as possible, so they'll probably get a fair deal as well. Now, some of the interesting things I wanted to dive into about what the writers have won in their deal and what we can expect Hollywood to look like in the coming years is, for one, we knew that AI was like a big topic of contention between the writers and the studios. The studios wanted to use AI. They wanted to go full force with it, and the writers were like, nah, my friend. And here we have a couple of bullet points on how AI will be used, saying here, AI can't write or rewrite literary material, and AI-generated materials will not be considered source material. A writer can choose to use AI, but the studio cannot require the writer to use AI software. Also, studios must disclose to writers if any material given to them have been generated by AI or incorporated AI-generated material. So there's still a little bit of wiggle room in there for the studios to use AI, but it'll all be in the power of the writer. And, you know, there's still a debate amongst fans whether how we should use AI, but I like these barriers put in place, and it means a human is still behind these human stories I want to see. Another thing I found kind of fascinating that the writers were able to win from the studios is, under the new agreement, studios will have to provide streamers data to the WGA under NDA. They must provide the worldwide total numbers of hours streamed. The WGA is then allowed to share the info with members in aggregated form. This is super interesting to me because that's one of the things that the streaming services have been holding on very tightly. You know how whenever we get a new movie in theaters that weekend, the conversation on Monday or heck Sunday night is how much box office numbers did that get? And that gives us a great idea of what people are willing to pay for, what people are interested in. If something bombs, we're like, dang, no one wants to see that movie. No one cared about that. And it's almost like free data for studios and consumers to just see. When it comes to like Netflix and all these other streaming services, we don't know the exact numbers of how many people tuned into Stranger Things compared to like Squid Games. And even when we do get revealed some of the viewership numbers, it's always such a specific statistic that you can't compare it. They'll say things like 500 million people watched the first 2 seconds of this show. And then they'll say over here, 3 million people finished this show all the way. It's like, what does that even mean? So it's kind of cool that if you took part in making a show, you'll get to see exactly how many people viewed it, for how long they viewed it, when they jumped off. I feel like that could be viable data for other shows they go on to make and go, ooh, if I lost them after episode 3, maybe I need to do something differently. And even though it says it's under NDA, there's always a chance that leaks out and then we get to see them numbers. Along with that, Variety also put out an article for a bunch of movies and TV shows that can now begin doing some work. Remember, this still has to be limited work only on the writing department because they can't go into production since the actors are on strike. But in this article, they do mention that like Matt Reeves is now going to go hard at work with the Batman Part 2, finish that script. They're saying that Warner Brothers is done with Superman Legacy and the Minecraft script, and that's something they want to move forward with next year. Universal is currently wanting to do some rewrites on Fast X Part 2, and boy, you need to, because I need that movie to be peak. Streamer side of things, it says here that HBO is very focused on their current shows like Euphoria, The Last of Us, and that will be what they're wanting to make in 2024 instead of newer content, while Netflix has the same kind of mindset where they want to focus on finishing the last season of Stranger Things and season 2 of Wednesday with Jenna Ortega. So yeah, Hollywood is slowly slowly kicking back into gear. We just gotta wait for the actor strike to be over. Let me know what you guys think about these details concerning the writer's strike. And since we're still in the Spooky Mama season, I gotta talk about some horror movies, and we gotta announce one that I'm like, ooh, put that on my list to watch this year. Bloody Disgusting came out here with our first look for It's a Wonderful Knife, Christmas slasher from freaky writer and Tragedy Girls director, releasing this November. Now I'm gonna show you the first look, but don't worry if you feel like your brain is being messed with, because even I took a couple of minutes staring at this photo going, what am I looking at here? But essentially it's the slasher we'll see in this movie, and they're wearing like an all-white nun robe with kind of a veiled mask having these sort of see-through alien eyes. It's being described as A Wonderful Life meets Scream, so it's basically a Christmas Scream movie. With the plot going, the story is set in idyllic Angel Falls. A year after saving her own town from a psychotic killer on Christmas Eve, Winnie's life is less than wonderful. But when she wishes she'd never been born, she finds herself in a nightmare parallel universe and discovers that without her, things could be much, much worse. Now the killer is back, and she must team up with the town misfits to identify the killer and get back to her own reality. Ooh, slashers are back, my boy. Scream, I don't know if you're responsible for it, but I like this trend. It felt like for a while, slasher movies were just run out and done with. We've done all the ideas we can with a person in a mask holding a knife going after a bunch of people. But then we're getting movies like Totally Killer, about a girl who time travels back to the 80s and fights a killer with her mom. We have the upcoming Thanksgiving movie coming up where it's going to be a slasher set around the Thanksgiving season. That looks fun. And now we got a Christmas themed one. Like, we are winning big here, guys. I also love that it's being written by Michael Kennedy. He recently wrote Freaky, a horror comedy I find to be super entertaining, and he's a giant Scream fan, so he always puts what he can into these slasher films. How are you guys feeling about It's a Wonderful Knife and this slasher resurgence? And well, since we're talking about mass slashers, let's talk some Michael Myers, baby, because I can't believe we're literally talking about news of him getting a reboot. You guys might have seen the video I posted just a few days ago where we got the shocking news that Malik Akkad, the rights owner to the Halloween franchise, is leaving Blumhouse after their trilogy and is looking to other studios for a new movie or TV show on the Halloween series. Well, Bloody Disgusting recently updated their article to some new things that they've been hearing, so I thought, why not inform you guys? They say here, we're hearing exclusively that A24 and Miramax are the two main parties currently in battle for TV rights, and that A24 is currently leading the charge. It's happening, my friends. I did not think we'd be living in a world where A24 would get their hands on Michael Myers. It was already so interesting to hear before the Hollywood strike that they're going to be working on the Friday the 13th TV series. That was confirmed and announced. It'll be releasing on Peacock, and I'm sure they're getting started to work on it now that the writer's strike is over. But it'd be crazy for A24 to then have the ability to make TV shows on Jason Voorhees and Michael Myers. Crossover, baby. Probably not, but like I said, that fantasy is what we look forward to. And look, you guys heard me mention my opinion in my other video. A24 getting the movie rights to Michael Myers, I'd be hesitant. I just think Michael Myers is a simple slasher, and A24 does something more than that, which could be very exciting. But when it comes to their TV side of things, oh, bring it on. I'd love to see what A24 does on the TV side. You also pair this up with the reports that Malik Akkad, the rights owner, is very interested in a TV show for Halloween 3 Season of the Witch. That is most likely what A24 would be doing if they get the TV show rights. It wouldn't be a TV show on Michael Myers. And if you really think about it, I think Halloween 3 Season of the Witch is way more up the alley of A24 than Michael Myers. But for now, everything will be a waiting game. I'm sure it'll be weeks, months before we continue to get updates about which studio won the movie or TV show rights. But movement is happening either way, and Michael Myers or the Halloween series is coming back, baby. How are you guys feeling about this? Moving on, talking about DC Studios, James Gunn was feeling a little yappy today and just revealed so much information on his social media account of Threads. Like a lot of us DC fans, there was a user out there just waiting and wondering, like, James Gunn, can you just tell us what's canon, what's not canon, what's going on? This is kind of confusing. And well, he responded. He said here, nothing is canon until Creature Commandos next year, a sort of aperitif to the DCU, and then a deeper dive into the universe with Superman Legacy after that. It's a very human drive to want to understand everything all all the time, but I think it's okay to be confused on what's happening in the DCU since no one has seen anything from the DCU yet. So, I mean, there you have it, my friends. The DCU has not started, and even when we watch Aquaman 2, that is not the new DCU. It'll start with Creature Commandos, the animated show, and then we'll get a much further explanation of that universe in Superman Legacy. Seems simple enough, we'll just start off there, but James Gunn continues elaborating, saying here, and yes, some actors will be playing characters they've played in other stories, and some plot points might be consistent with plot points from the dozen of films, shows, and animated projects that have come from DC in the past. But nothing is canon until Creature Commandos and Legacy, where he even mentions that John Cena's Peacemaker, Solo Maridueña's Blue Beetle, and Viola Davis, Amanda Waller are really the only confirmed returning members of the old universe into the new one. And look, if I really sit down and think about it, it's not that complicated, but saying it out loud, it doesn't make it easy for other people to understand, because we just had Blue Beetle, and he's saying that character is still coming into my new universe, but the events of that movie, not really gonna stay true to it for the new world. He might have a whole new backstory and origin, or it could be exactly like what we just saw, but we're not calling that movie canon. I'm happy as a fan that I'll see more Blue Beetle and Peacemaker and Viola Davis, but it's just like, you're just lingering on, you're holding on to the past. Why? He goes on to respond to someone saying, then why would I get interested in your new universe or these other movies without knowing what's connected? And he replies with, if you think of anything as investing time and effort, no matter what shared universe, you definitely shouldn't be. Every story should be enjoyed and worth partaking in of itself without its attachment to an outside world. If it feels like homework, screw it. Shared universes should add fun to individual stories, not the other way around. The individual stories and characters are much more important to me than the connection between them. Actions are going to speak louder than words here, but if James Gunn sticks true to his word here about making sure every individual project feels like its own thing and only small stuff from this connected universe enhances those story beats, yes, baby. The MCU definitely started out that way, where it was characters first, connection later, and now it's becoming more connection, characters later. And it's made watching the MCU sometimes feel like homework. James Gunn does not want that, so there's gonna be a time where it's like, oh, you don't have to watch that DC project, you don't have to know that. And that's pretty great for the general audience, but like I said, actions speak louder than words. Let's see if he stays true to that. You hear James Gunn make all these comments on the DC universe. Does it clarify things? Does it make it clearer for you? Or are you just like, this is still confusing, my friend? But that is all movie news we currently have going on right now, guys. I want to thank you so much for taking time out of your day to watch me talk some movie news. Don't be forgetting to hit that like button. Subscribe if you haven't already. Follow me on Twitter at 3C Films or on TikTok at 3C Films. But as always, I'm Chris. Take care.